My friend, I want to say this. I think you're a good man. I think you're doing good things. I think the stuff we disagree on is a lot smaller than the stuff we do agree on. And I want to say this. Whether you believe in religion or not, if you are for the family, if you are for what is basically conservative values, you got to back the Muslims. Whether you're a Muslim today or not, you have to back the Muslims, because there's two sides right now. There's the LGBT and there's Islam, and all the other religions are somewhere in the middle. Some have submitted, some have not. But that's why Islam is growing right now. It is the counterbalance to the rainbow. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to make this prophecy on your podcast, SNEAKO. Within 15 to 20 years, those refugees who came from Libya in 2015, who went all through France and are in the UK and in Germany, when they start reproducing, and how Gaddafi said, we will beat them with our womb. That's what Gaddafi said. We will beat them with our womb. And then when you have 30 to 35% of France, Germany, Islam, when they're Muslims, the rainbow will be cleansed. Allah Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Gary.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yep. My bad. A little technical difficulties.
Wait, so numerology isn't haram?
Hell no, it's not haram. How can numerology be haram if there's numbers all over the Bible and the Quran? How is that possible? The numbers can be haram, or anything to do with numbers can be haram, if they're all over your holy books. Doesn't make any sense.
So you're not, it's not predicting the future? It's not like witchcraft, black magic to be investigating into stuff?
Well, first of all, there's computers who are doing the same thing. Are computers haram? They're doing predicting programming. Vanguard and BlackRock have something called Aladdin, and this does predictive programming to pick stocks. So is that haram? Because there's sure as hell a lot of Saudi money in those places. So I don't think any of this is a haram. Like, they can say what they want, but as long as those numbers are all over the Bible, are all over the Quran, there's nothing haram about it. Now, if you want to make an argument about astrology, I'm all there, because the Bible does say some negative stuff about that. Okay. But in my opinion, the Bible has been rewritten how many times? I mean, let's be real. So how do we know that wasn't just put in there recently?
Wait, you're saying the Bible was rewritten how many? A lot of times? Well, how many times was the Quran? How many times was the Quran?
Zero.
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 Oh. So, mashallah, why don't you become a Muslim?
For what reason?
Because it's the one book that stayed consistent for 1,400 years.
Yes, that is one book who stayed consistent, but what does that matter with consistency?
That is the one true monotheistic religion.
Let me ask you something.
Ask me something.
SNEAKO, I don't drink. I don't eat pork. There's plenty of Muslims out there who say they love Allah, and then they go drink. Plenty of them in Dubai, and then they go eat pork. Plenty of them in Russia, and then they'll go pray to Allah. I don't have to pray to any God, but I will follow its laws, because the laws are common sense. Does that make sense to you, my man?
But what's wrong with prayer?
Well, why would I willingly give away my energy? For what reason?
You're not giving away your energy. Prayer makes you stronger.
Yes, you are. Yes,
prayer,
you are. See, angels
energizes you.
Angels have no free will. They have to do something. We as humans, you, me, everyone watching, we have free will. We can choose not to give our energy. We can acknowledge God as the Almighty. We can say, you know what? I'm not going to say I'm ever going to be a God. I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to be an atheist, not say you don't exist. I will say you're the Almighty. I will follow your laws, but that does not mean I have to submit. Submitting is kind of for women, isn't it?
Well, submitting to the one creator is our duty. It has nothing to do with gender.
That might be your duty. That ain't mine. My duty is to protect my family. And that's another thing I have a problem with the religious people. How dare you put some God you don't have a real relationship with, one who answers your prayers when he wants to or she wants to, but your family's there 24/7. So any religious person,
you pray for your family too.
Any religious person
for your family.
Well, I don't pray to God for my family. I manifest stuff.
Manifest. Okay, that's kind of where you talk about femininity. That's a very feminine word to use. A manifestation.
You know, if it was feminine, it wouldn't have the word man in it, my friend.
Okay, you're cooking. You're cooking. So you were telling me that my 2022 was my tiger year. That was the big year. That was the year I became a millionaire. That's when everything really exploded. I went from broke to a millionaire last year.
Let's get down to it, because
can you explain that? I don't know if that's wrong to ask you about that stuff, but why did I have a successful year in 2022?
Because when you were born, you were imprinted with energy, and based off certain astrology aspects, once every 12 years, that energy becomes supreme again. So basically, you, born 1998, the year of the tiger, came up in 2022, the year of the tiger. I didn't know who you were before then. Neither did a lot of people. But the fact of the matter is, you blew up. Now, if that was just one example, wouldn't mean anything. Your boy, Mr. Beast, born 1998, again, tiger year, he got $1 billion evaluation. But we don't just want the young kids. Let's see some real examples. Tom Cruise, born 1962, the year of the tiger, had the first Top Gun movie come out, 1986, the year of the tiger, and then he came out again, 2022, the year of the tiger. He was the highest paid actor in Hollywood that year. And again, Andrew Tate, born 1986, the year of the tiger, becomes world famous in 2022, the year of the tiger, just like I told him he would.
So you know all this just based on our birthdays? You can trace everything that has to do with success can be attributed to the numbers in your birthday?
You can attribute everything because, see, SNEAKO, this is a virtual reality. None of this stuff is real. Even Elon Musk, some of the smartest people on earth have said this is a virtual reality. And in a virtual reality, there's going to be one truth: mathematics and numbers. That's why they're all over your Qur'an. That's why they're all over the Bible. That's why they're all over everything. Everything revolves around numbers. It's a universal language. So basically, it comes down to this. You don't have to believe me. Why don't you look at the elite? Watch what they're doing. Let me ask you something, SNEAKO. When does it stop being a coincidence? 9/11 happened on the 11th. Stop me when it begins a coincidence. Stop me. New York City, 11 letters. New York, the 11th State of the Union. The Twin Towers side by side look like an 11. Stop me when it stops being a coincidence. 110 stories on each tower. Shanksville, 11 letters. The Pentagon, 11 letters. The day they attacked Afghanistan in retaliation for 9/11. 10/7/2001. Take out the zeros. 1721. Again, 11. Tell me when it stops being a coincidence, my man.
Okay. But what's your credibility? How do we know? A lot of people in the chat are like, this guy's full of shit. How do you know? How do we know that you know what you're talking about? Have you worked with anybody? Has anybody? If you could really predict the future, wouldn't the most successful athletes have hired you? Wouldn't the president?
What makes you think they haven't?
They have?
So hold on. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put all bullshit aside. Go put in Gary the numbers guy, calves. Just put that in YouTube. See what comes up.
Gary the numbers guy, calves. Can you tell me?
Yes. Yeah, put it in YouTube and see what comes up. Shouldn't be too difficult.
I'm banned on YouTube, so it's a little hard to Gary numbers guy, calves.
I got you, man.
Okay. What, the 7 years ago? What are you doing?
You're gonna see exactly what I made, because I can show you better than I can tell you. Find that video.
Okay.
When I was on the news in Cleveland, Ohio, and I said the Cleveland Cavaliers will come back from 3-1 down to end the NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors, and that's exactly what happened. The biggest upset in NBA history, and I called it on the air. See, that's what happens when you're real. You put your reputation on the line for certain things, and bam, you hit that home run.
Wait, so what about all the broke people in the chat that are listening right now that are saying I was born in 1998 and I'm still broke?
Well, here's the thing. You still got to put in work, man. And, listen, SNEAKO, you made it when you were young. It took Tate till he was 35. It took other people until they're 47. Some people do it in their, the Tiger year or anyone's year comes once every 12 years. Some people make it at age, 23. Some people make it at age 35. It comes when it comes, but you got to put in the work. But the energy is definitely with you. I'll give you an example for all the UFC fans out there. Okay. John Jones, born 1987, the year of the cat, wins his first UFC title, 2011, a cat year. Then they strip him of the title in 2017, his enemy year, the Rooster. And then we all know what happened this year, 2023, year of the cat. Jonesy got his title back. Astrology at work. Now, people can say that's haram. People can say that's satanic. But here's the fact. Knowledge can never be evil. Only evil people can use knowledge in evil ways. Flat out. Let's keep it real. Is a car evil? Someone's going to take a car this year and run over 10, 15 people. Does that make the car evil?
No.
No. Exactly.
Okay, but then how do you know that has to do with my tiger? What's the significance of the number 8? Because I was born September 8th, 1998. What does that number 8 mean?
We can ask Kanye West what the significance is, because 8's the number of money.
Okay.
So you just like Kanye. Tell me if I'm wrong. You just like Kanye were broke. Tell me you weren't broke.
I was broke.
Okay. Was Kanye broke when he was young?
He was broke. He was poor.
Okay. So see, 8 is the number of money, but see, it goes both ways. Look at the shape of the 8. What goes up goes down. See that?
Like an infinity, like an infinity sign, reverse.
Exactly, but you turn it this way,
okay,
and it's thin in the middle. That thin in the middle represents middle class, so you either have it or you don't. Kanye became a billionaire. You got your first milli. You're probably going to have a lot more. So when it comes down to it, people born on the 8th, 17th, like Michael Jordan, they tend to do very, very well financially. Now, there's even one number that's above the number of money, and that's the number of wealth. And guess who has that one? Elon Musk, born on the 28th. Guess who? And by the way, Elon Musk replaced Bill Gates as the richest guy on earth, and Bill Gates is also born on the 28th.
I thought Vladimir Putin was the richest guy on earth.
Well, he is, but that's not on, Forbes record. I would personally say that Vladimir is the richest guy on earth. But if you want me to go there, he's born on the 280th day of the year.
Okay,
I got that one covered too.
Okay, you had that one locked and
covered
loaded
too.
Okay, wait. What about I don't know, Patrick Bet-David? That's a guy who comes to the top of my mind.
A perfect example. Patrick Bet-David is born 10/27/1978. He is an 8 life path. He grew up broke as hell, came to America, and made $300 million. Again, just like you, just like the Kanye, money up and down, and they have it because 8 is the number of money. Don't believe me. You don't have to believe me. Don't be freaking lazy. Go out there and do your research. Ask yourself why the Chinese started Olympic Games on 8/8/2008 at exactly 8:08 p.m. They went from the 15th biggest economy in the world to the 2nd within a few years. Checkmate.
Wait, so people start the Olympics and they invade other countries based on specific times because the numbers matter?
Of course, the elite are all into this. They start wars based off this. They start everything based off this.
Wait, so people will communicate with numerologists and astrologers to figure out what's the right time to invade?
I think the Rothschilds have their own people. They don't really need to reach out to the public, man.
What does the Rothschilds have to do with China?
The Rothschilds have something to do with the whole planet. They run it. This is their world. They run it. They run the banking system. They control the armies. I heard a lot of people talk a lot of smack saying, yo, we can take out the Rothschilds. We can take out the Rockefellers. Have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Muammar Gaddafi, born 6/7/1942?
Yes, I have.
He was the leader of Libya. He took over Libya in 1969.
The GOAT.
He turned it from one of the poorest countries in the world to one of the richest. In 2011, he had a standing army of about 50,000 well-trained troops. He had weapons. He had $500 billion at his disposal, and NATO took him out in 9 months. So I ask yourself, what the fuck are you or any of us going to do about the Rothschilds? Not a damn thing. So this is what people have to understand. It's good to know this information about who runs the world. It's good to know that the Federal Reserve is basically nothing federal about it. It's good to know things like this. But what you have to understand is you have to basically change the people around you. Change the environment around you. No one's going to save the world. Heroes end up in morgues.
Salam alaikum, Shaykh Uthman. It's good to...
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How you doing, brother?
Good. You're back in...
Alaikum, my friend.
There we go. But you're back in San Diego, right?
Yeah, I'm back in San Diego. Just Discord was acting a little funny, and I don't really use Discord, so...
Yeah, on me too, brother.
I don't know if you're listening into this, but so far Gary has been telling us about numerology. Sheikh, I want to ask you a question before we get into the debate. Maybe we could figure out what we believe. But is numerology, is it haram to look at these types of...
I mean, what do you mean by numerology?
Gary, can you explain?
Certainly. I like to look at history, and when you're a historian, you start noticing dates. That's what they're there for. And then you start asking yourself, why did World War I end at 11/11 at exactly 11 o'clock? That seems kind of strange, right? So on 11/11 at exactly 11 o'clock, World War I ended, but at 10:55 they were still fighting bullets at each other. Why did they go through so much effort to make sure it was 11/11 at exactly 11 o'clock? And I would tell you, with SNEAKO, before you entered, you start looking at events like 9/11 that was done by Al Qaeda. And then you start looking at the hold on, let me finish. You'll get in there. Al Qaeda was founded August 11th. That is a fact. We're not going to argue if they're terrorists or not. We're not going to argue who funded them. But the fact of the matter is, they were founded on August 11th. Their three biggest terrorist attacks or in the media was in Spain on the 11th, in India on July 11th, and again in America on the 11th. So I start looking at stuff like that, and I start thinking, you know what? People might be doing stuff on purpose. This might not be a coincidence, but I'll leave you to your response, my friend.
Again, could it be that there is some kind of organization in like Illuminati or Masons or somebody? Sure, it could be that. I mean, that's got nothing to do with Islamic belief, right?
So he's asking you if that type of thinking is haram.
No. I mean to say that there might be some kind of a international organization that's kind of in the shadows that kind of pushes these kinds of agendas. That's very possible. We don't deny that. But again, when we're talking about religious beliefs, that's a whole different thing. We believe as Muslims that Allah is Qadir. He's capable. He's more powerful than any secret organization. We don't fear the Illuminati. We don't fear the Masons. We don't fear Skull and Bones. Obviously, I mean, even if you look at the UN, right? The UN or the G20 and all these organizations, they are the rich and powerful getting together to try to do their thing. That makes sense. That I believe that's true, right? But does that change the way we believe in God, how we worship? No.
Well, the whole point was, is it haram to start looking at how the people who run the world act, what they do, and then to try to reverse engineer it? Is that haram? Because basically that's like, the pleb class trying to look for knowledge on top. The people at the top always have the knowledge.
I got you. So looking for certain trends in history, certain maybe things that seem like coincidences, and researching whether this actually a coincidence or not, nothing wrong with that, right? Okay. But again, if you start saying like 13 is an unlucky number and 3 is a lucky number, like that stuff is haram.
Well, what if I would say that if you take the word luck, and L is the 12th letter, 1 and 2 is 3. U is the 21st letter, 2 and 1 is 3. C is the third letter, again, the third letter. So the first 3 letters of luck are 3, 3, 3, and 3 is actually the number of luck. Is it possible, sir, that maybe there's not only secret dates that the so-called Illuminati do things, but they actually use the English language in a secret way to basically spell things out, to cast spells, to do things that would give them an advantage over people who would lack such knowledge?
All right. So first thing, I would say you have way too much time on your hands, and maybe something you're smoking if you're spending that much time looking at the numbers of letters and things like that. Right?
Sir, I was invited to the White House under Donald J. Trump. As a numerologist. So what you just said there is very, very far off base.
I'm going to wait for you to finish, and then when I speak, if you allow me to...
Well, you insulted me, sir, so I had to basically correct you.
I'm sorry. Even if you insult me, I'm going to allow you to finish.
I haven't insulted you, sir. I've just
responded to you've interrupted me 3 times so far, and that's an insult.
Because you insulted me, but I will be quiet right now. Go ahead.
Thank you. Once again, I have the right to my opinion, and in my opinion, somebody who sits around giving numbers to letters and trying to figure out either smoking too much weed or has too much time. And I don't care if Trump, Biden, their mamas invite you. That doesn't matter to me. What I want to know is, what do you think the purpose of life is?
What I believe the purpose of life is?
Yes.
I think that's what we're all here to figure out, isn't it? I think that the purpose of life is maybe different for different people. I don't think everyone has the same mission on life. Do you believe that, sir?
I do not.
Okay.
So do you believe there's a God?
Of course I believe there's a God. I'm not going to argue if there's a God or not.
Okay, great. Do you believe that God sent us guidance in the way of prophets like Abraham and Moses and so on?
I think that could be taken into question.
Good
I
Dawah,
think
good Dawah.
when it comes down to it, I can believe in the higher power without believing fairy tales and holy books that cannot be proven.
Okay. So once again, the question there was, do you believe there's a God? And you said, yes, I believe. I said, do you believe that God sent us messengers like Jesus and Abraham, Moses, Muhammad, peace be upon them? And you gave kind of like a roundabout answer, but basically you're saying no, you think they're fairy tales.
I say I actually like evidence, my friend. I've actually I like the, you know, and there's no way to prove that because it's very difficult to argue faith. But what I'd like to go back to for a second was, you do not believe, do you believe that everyone has a soul, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that some souls are older than others?
No.
No. So everyone in your mind has a soul that is basically doing one mission. We all have one mission in life.
فقال سبحانه وتعالى ما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. So let me explain that. You don't even listen. Like you're nodding your head as if you understood what I said.
Language, my friend. I apologize.
I got you. Relax. No problem, bro. I got you. I speak plenty of languages. I'll translate for you. No problem. All right. Allah says in the Qur'an, I did not create jinn or ins, the human or the jinn kind, except to worship me. So that means the purpose of all of our creation. And you can go back to the 10 Commandments, you can go to Abraham, you can go to Moses, but again, you don't believe in them, so we'll talk about that. I believe that those souls were created in a place called Alam al-Arwah, a place that we were only souls. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, told us that there was a time when you were just a soul, no body, and you were like armies, meaning you were in brigades, and you met each other. And that's why many times you meet somebody, SNEAKO, I'm sure you've had that experience, you meet somebody, immediately you like them. You know, you have this connection. And sometimes you meet somebody and you're like, you know, I'm good with this, you know?
True.
So this is something that I believe. That soul then transferred into a different level of existence. At first, it was just a soul. Then it came into the womb of the mother. You had a different life, meaning it was not like the life you have right now, right? 9 months about, you had liquids going through your lungs, but you survived. You were being fed through a umbilical cord. You weren't speaking to people. You didn't eat with your teeth. That was a separate existence, right? Here, the soul and the body was connected, but the existence was different. Then you died from that life and you came into the belly of this earth, right? This is a different level of existence. Now you're breathing in oxygen. You can't put liquids down your lungs anymore. Now you're eating through your teeth. You're speaking to people. You're going around. And here, this life is a test. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Allah tells in the Qur'an that we created death. I'm translating for you, relax. We created death and life, this whole system, to see which one of you puts forth the best deeds. So all of us, black, white, Chinese, doesn't matter. We have one purpose in this life: to recognize our Creator, to worship Him, to live by His rules, to try to do the best we can, to be the best we can. Again, we're going to have shortcomings. Allah is the most forgiving, no problem. This life will end. Hold on, let me just finish. This life will end. As we know, everybody's going to die. Nobody's going to make out of this life alive. And you're going to go into a grave. And when you go into a grave, you will be raised then. That life is a different life in barzakh. Your body will deteriorate, your physical body, right? It will deteriorate. But then you'll be raised again for an everlasting hereafter. And every prophet prophesied about this. And that's why if you're Jewish, if you're Christian, if you're Muslim, you do believe that Allah, the Creator, whether you call him Yahweh or whatever, sent prophets. Tell us about the mission of our life. Don't worship idols. Don't worship images, right? Here your Lord is one. Look at the 10 Commandments. Don't kill, don't steal, all of that. I believe that's guidance from the Creator of the universe being sent through his prophets. I don't believe it's a man or a woman. I don't worship a white dude on a cross. I don't worship a blue guy or a monkey or a cow. None of that. I worship the Creator who Jesus worshipped, who Moses worshipped, who Abraham worshipped, who Muhammad worshipped. Peace and blessings be upon all the prophets. That's what I believe.
Okay, and that is your right to believe. Do you live in America?
Thank you. I do.
Then that's your right to believe, because we live in the greatest country on earth.
By the way,
So,
it would be my right to believe wherever I live. Don't think it's
no,
just in
no, you
America.
wouldn't actually have that right in different countries. Or
Which
if you
country would I
did,
not have that right?
you'd probably be North Korea, China.
No,
There's a lot of countries in the world.
there are Muslims in North Korea.
You
Hold on.
might
Hold
actually
on.
hold on. I didn't interrupt you, sir. So you're pretty
Okay,
good
go
at
ahead.
interrupting. But if you were in China, you might be in a Uyghur labor camp right now. It's interesting how people in the Muslim community don't speak too much about the sins of the Chinese, but they're very, very quick to jump on America because, just like LeBron James, it's easy to criticize here because you don't have to pay a price. You don't have to pay a price. But see, if you start criticizing Chinese, they'll start pulling your money. And that's why a lot of people in the Arab world and the Muslim world seem to be very quiet when it comes to the Chinese crimes. But let's go back to the religious thing, my friend.
Hold on. You made a statement, and I let you finish.
Hold on, Sheikh. You did go about 2-3 minutes. I want to give like fair amount of time. I would like to hear Gary's response, and then we could come back to the claims.
No problem.
Go for it.
As a numerologist, because no matter what you think about that, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been basically trying to decode what people in positions of power have been trying to do for a long time. And just because someone doesn't understand something does not mean it's fallacy. The whole point of the matter is I can look at people's birthdays and tell to a certain degree what they're going to look like, what their personality is. And I'd like to do that with you right now, sir, if you're more than willing to put your birthday out there.
Go for it.
What's your birthday, my friend?
What do you need? My month, date, year?
Yeah, everything.
The whole thing?
The whole thing, brother.
All right. August 31st, 1976.
August 31st, 1976?
Yes.
Okay. So is it safe to say that you were once a poor man and you've done substantially better in life?
Oh, man, yeah, that's true.
Okay. Because you are an 8 life path, my friend, just like SNEAKO. And when it comes down to it, people who are 8s, just like Patrick Bet David, just like a whole bunch of others like Kanye West, they usually go up and down with their money in life. So that is one thing I can look at numbers and be like, okay, this is what this person's experience will be. Second, I'll look at you because you're born in on the 31st with 3 and 1 is 4. I can tell you're a very hardworking man. I can tell you're a very conservative man. I can tell that my friend over here that you outwork people. That's how the hell you made it in life. You work, and you don't stop. If I'm wrong, you can please tell me.
No, I
do work hard, man. That's amazing.
I'm also going to say that you have the aura of authority over people. And your word means everything to you. Your word means everything to you. If you actually say you're going to do something, you're going to go out there and do it because that's what you are. You're born in the year of the dragon. And dragons are the most honorable people in the world. They will die before they will not fulfill a promise. So little things like that I can tell by people's birthdays. I can also tell you that a good majority of religious leaders tend to be 8s. Because people who are 8s are the ones with power. Power isn't always about money. Power is always sometimes about the crowd, the masses. When it came down to revolutions like the French Revolution, it was the religious people that started certain things. So the powers have always been with the priests, the imams. And those are the things that I've noticed through history. I will also say one other thing. Do you believe in karma, sir?
Define karma.
You do bad things will come onto you.
I believe in God's judgment. Yeah.
Do you believe that God, if you do bad things, that God will punish you?
Yes.
So,
but not like the Hindu concept.
I understand. But as an 8 life path, you have to also understand that karma adds up to 8. So remember we talked about language and certain things. K equals the 11th letter. A is 1. R is the 18th. So basically adds up to 26. 2 and 6 is 8. What goes around comes around. Karma.
The 8, huh?
Exactly.
Shaykh Uthman, can I interrupt? I just want to see, did any of this surprise you, or does it sound like the normal astrology mumbo jumbo?
I'm in shock right now because that describes me to a T. That's amazing.
Was that any different than when girls read their astrology charts, or are you being facetious?
No. You got that from the numbers, right?
Correct. That's not some of it was astrology, but 95% was numerology.
You know what's funny, SNEAKO?
What's funny?
I wasn't born on 3rd of August, 1976.
That's very good. But you're the one who agreed to all that stuff. You're the one who agreed to all that stuff.
You see this? You see this? I actually was born in another month in another year, which I'm like, I'm going to speak now. SNEAKO, it's my turn. My turn now. My turn. Did I listen? Did I listen or did I not listen?
You gave false information.
Wait, I want to hear Shaykh Uthman. Can I hear your response now for about a minute?
That's a lie, man.
It's not a lie, actually, because when I was born in Pakistan, they miswrote my birth date. That was the actual birth date they wrote, but it was wrong. My actual birth date is not that. And everything you said, you just kind of guessed off my personality and what you read about me online. Let me finish. Because it did match, except that wasn't. You did not get that information from that birth date because that wasn't my birth. I was testing you, and you showed that there's all a facade.
I did not know he was lying. I did not know.
You figured out a facade. You figured out, okay, this guy came. Maybe you watched a video about my background, and you said, let me take the numbers and make a mix to present what you thought about me, even though it turns out that wasn't based on the numbers because those weren't the numbers.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do, my friend, okay? Because the main thing in life that talks is money. Do you agree?
No.
No, okay. So I'm going to tell you that 90% of the people watching in capitalist America will say money talks and bullshit walks. So here's what we're going to do, my friend. I'm going to take off my sunglasses for this. So I'm going to be blindfolded. People are going to blindfold me. And we're going to go hit the streets. No, listen to me. We're going to go hit the streets. And then people are going to give me their real birthdays. They're not going to lie like you just did, sir. By the way, I'm not sure if lying is haram, but you can ask yourself with your own guy with that. We're going to go hit the streets. I'm going to put a blindfold. I'm going to put a blindfold on. And every single one of these people will give me their correct birthday. They're going to say that's dead on. So again, if you actually want to bet 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, let's make this happen, brother, because all you proved right there is you lie. And I got to tell you, that is an awful representation of Islam, because what I know of Islam, it's a truth and justice, because Islam is one of the only religions out there that they actually believe in that book because it's never been written. You actually lied.
You got that?
You actually lied, sir. You have done what the Christians have done for hundreds of years. You rewrote their own Bible, and you just rewrote the Quran with lies. So I think you should actually apologize to the people who are actually listening to you, because you have let a lot of people down. And if you believe in God, sir, you should ask for his forgiveness, because this is an awful display of Islam.
Okay, Shaykh Uthman, I'll give you about a minute response.
All right. So look, once again, that was actually my birthday written down at time in my passport. So it's not a lie. Secondly, it exposed you. At times, you have to expose people for the frauds. Look, David Blaine and all these street magicians do the same kind of stuff. They do all these little tricks. Look, I've seen this for years. You're playing off people. You're looking at people. You're trying to figure out people. You're trying to say things that look. Let me finish.
Put money on it.
This is. If you knew anything about Islam,
you agree to put money on it?
Hold on. Gary,
let him put money on it. Yes or no?
Two things. One, I want to give like fair time without interruptions, and then also gambling is haram, so we can't bet.
So that's the thing. If you had done some homework, you would have known gambling's haram. I'm not going to put money on it, right? Secondly, these kind of tricks are cheap parlor tricks. These things have been going on for centuries. I've been to other countries. I've had Hindus come up to me. I've had Muslims come up to me. Palm readers come up to me. I don't believe in any of that stuff. Look, let me explain something. When you talk about the Qur'an, at least you got that part right, that the Qur'an has never been changed. Alhamdulillah, that's true. And let me tell you something. You, me, SNEAKO, everybody's on a journey. Trying to get famous off of little tricks and stuff is not going to help you, right? If you're watching, you need to know there's more to life than this kind of stuff. You have to recognize who created you. Why were you created? If you agree that the Qur'an has never been changed, have you read it? Go to the Qur'an. What does Allah say about why were you here? Where did you come from? We as Muslims know that we have a creator who created us. Not to try to, pull little tricks by blindfolding and putting money and things. No. Recognize what's the greater purpose you have. Do you worship your Lord the way he has ordained upon you, the way Jesus and Abraham and Moses and Muhammad worship, putting their head on the ground? Do you worship that 5 times a day? Are you living that lifestyle, staying away from alcohol and pork and drugs to keep you clean, to be the best person you can? That is what's more important here. It's what's the purpose of life. You understand? When you made all that up about the 8 and the 1 and the 8s, and it showed that it was all made up because that wasn't the dates, and you got it to my personality, but it wasn't based on the numbers. It shows that you're faking it, right? I'm not putting money on it. I'm not putting little parlor tricks. What I'm saying to you is, why don't you forget all this stuff? Go first and foremost, put your head down to your creator and pray to your Lord and say, oh, the one who created me, guide me.
Submit
Put
like
me
a
on the
woman.
purpose of my life.
Gary,
submit to your creator.
Let me hear like about a 90-second, 2-minute response from Gary.
Yeah, no problem. So basically, a person says, let's test my skills. The only thing I need is their birthday. And then he gives me this birthday. I give a reading off the information because I don't lie to people and say I'm psychic. I don't do that. I tell people I can decode the numbers because mathematics is a universal language. Then this man gives me his birthday, and then he says that's a lie. So again, you can't test my abilities on a lie. So again, if people want to test me, this is not difficult. SNEAKO, we can make examples of this. We talked about this before. Go on the streets, blindfold me, no money on the line because whatever, haram, and let's see if I can actually do what I say I can do. Because at the end of the day, he's just another preacher. There's thousands of these guys, okay? He's out, okay, so, you know, he's trying to make a name for himself as a preacher, as the top preacher out there. So he's going to tell you, oh, don't chase fame this way, but he's trying to chase, you know, this thing as the top preacher out there. He's trying to gain clout off Islam as well. So we can stop the games. I know you're laughing because this is what it is, sir. But at the end of the day, guys, at the end of the day, don't worry what I say. Don't worry what he says. Don't worry about anything. You look at what the elite do. That's the main, that's the most important thing, because the elite are in positions of power, which means they have knowledge that, quite frankly, I don't, and this man doesn't, no matter what he says. Because if he was actually that good, I can promise you the king of Saudi Arabia or the crown prince would have this guy on his payroll. This is just another guy out there who's trying to use God's name to make a bag, just like anyone else out there. So here's the bottom line. Numbers don't lie. People do. Remember that.
Shaykh Uthman, I hear a 90-second response for you, and then I want to talk after your response, after you responded to his claims. I think I know what you're going to say about making money and stuff like that. But I want to talk about prayer after your response and how Gary thinks that prayer is submission and it's feminine. Well, after you respond.
So Gary, one thing you again, maybe you should have, maybe numbers wouldn't really help you out here because I make $0 off of this. SNEAKO knows I'm not looking for clout. I'm not trying to be the top preacher. I get invites from royal families here and there. I don't even go. That's how the kind of man I am. You can ask SNEAKO. I didn't ask to be on his stream. I didn't even, you know, he connected with me. He came to visit me in San Diego.
You don't make money. You don't eat.
He doesn't.
I don't make. You don't make money off.
He works a regular job and his assets is off. Like
you work a regular job. That's it. What do you do,
Your
sir?
numbers didn't help you out there, buddy.
I don't have your birthday to lie, so I can't actually make
let me speak now. You're speaking in the middle.
Yeah, I'm just saying. You say you don't make money. I want to know how you make money.
90 seconds. What happened?
Okay. Let's let him respond. So, but I have verified that I have met Shaykh Uthman. He doesn't have AdSense. He works a normal job and does Dawah for Islam. That's true.
See, this is what I'm saying. You don't know. You're guessing at stuff. Your numbers aren't helping you. No stars helping you. Like, again, you're interrupting me now. Once again, I didn't respond while you were speaking, even though I wanted to, right? Now, I work a regular job. I work in the medical device industry. I go to work in the morning. It's got nothing to do with religion. It's got nothing to do with Islam. It's got nothing to do with being a preacher. I go earn a living for my family. I don't take a single penny, not a cent, not from my mosque, not from OMF, not from any Dawah organization, not from any king, not from any country, even though I've been offered lots of money on this. SNEAKO is a witness. He knows this. So you may not have realized, but I'm not one of those preachers out there trying to make a name for himself, or trying to make money off God. I'm sincerely here to be a guide for you and everybody watching to connect to their creator. That's all I care about, is people recognize who created them and why are they here, and live to be the best potential and make that hereafter by recognize their creator. I don't do this for fame. I don't do this for money. I don't do this for any of that. I work a regular job. I make money for my family, having nothing to do with religion. Even when I travel and I give lectures, I don't take a penny for it. So that's another point for you to understand.
One for Gary, two for
Muslims aren't like those Christian preachers out there trying to make money off their Patreon and stuff. We believe in what we're saying. We believe in the creator, and we believe in connecting people to the creator. And the reason I gave you that birthday to show the world that it's got nothing to do with numbers, you were going to say the same thing no matter what numbers came up. You were going to make a twist around, and you were going to say things that do match me, but it's not based off the numbers, because those aren't the numbers. Your facade's exposed. I don't want to deal with that anymore. You want to talk about prayer? SNEAKO, go for it.
I want to let Gary respond, and then we can shift to prayer.
You cannot expose a facade based off a lie. So let's keep it real, my friend. You lied. I need certain information to get down to the truth. You refused to give it to me, and you lied. That's more, says a lot more about you, my friend, than it ever will about me. Because if you actually gave me the right birthday, we'd be having a different discussion. But you chose not to do that. You chose to come in here and lie. That's on you, sir. That says a lot about your character. So based on the fact that you lied, I don't know anything you said was true. And the people who are listening right now don't know if that's true, because guess what? You damaged your own credibility by lying. You exposed yourself. So yeah, you could say, oh, I don't do this for money. I don't do this for fame. But guess what, brother? You just exposed yourself with a lie. Why should anyone believe you? Just like the vaccine. Sir, are you vaccinated?
You're trying to jump subjects, aren't you?
I just want to ask you a question. You're vaccinated.
That's a fair question. It's a fair question.
You want me to respond?
Yeah, I want
you. I don't want to interrupt you.
But Gary, can you fix your camera? I don't know if it's on, but your camera's messed up on my end. Shaykh Uthman, can you see his camera?
It's kind of cut off at his eyes, but I can see him. Yeah.
Okay, it's back. Okay, so I think that's a fair question. Are you vaccinated? And then I want to have a discussion about prayer and our different beliefs about prayer.
Sure. First thing, before I answer that, then all the other stuff that you spewed out was again nonsense. Just like Abraham, when he told the people that if you worship the sun, he challenged them, saying, okay, why should you worship? Right? That I gave you a date that was on my birth certificate at a time, but it wasn't, to see if you're honest, and you're not. You said things right based on the wrong dates. Any dates I would have given you, you would have said the same stuff because you're a facade, and that exposed you, and now you're upset and you want to jump. No problem. But if you ask me am I vaccinated, yes, I am. Because for my job, I have to be vaccinated.
My friend, I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much wisdom you have. You fell for the biggest psyop in world history. My friend, everything you say just got exposed. You trusted the government.
How's that?
You trusted the government. You are a fraud, my friend. You are an exact fraud. No one, but you trust the science. You trust the science. You failed, my friend. So here I'm going to make this very clear for you. No matter what you say at this point makes any difference. You got vaccinated. You just exposed. Number one, you lied. Number two, you're vaccinated. Sir, everything you say is garbage at this point. Go ahead, SNEAKO. You can have this.
Well, Shaykh, I want to hear your response to why you got vaccinated. And then I do want to have a discussion about prayer, because that's a major point of contention that I see you guys have.
All right. Without being interrupted, can I give a response?
Yes, uninterrupted, please.
All right. Thank you. Now, once again, it exposes you that instead of discussing the purpose of life, you want to jump to vaccinations. Look, the vast majority of our country, especially those of us that work in the med device industry, that need to earn a living for our family, that had to be vaccinated for us to do the job that we were doing. I was flying during the COVID pandemic. I was going to places where I could not work. I could not earn money for my family if I wasn't vaccinated. And if you think that me taking the vaccine, I'm not saying I trust the science, I'm not saying I'm a fan of it, I'm not saying any of that. But you think me taking the vaccination because I wanted to earn food to be on the table for my family makes it that people shouldn't listen to me, you're a moron. And you're out there talking all this stuff. People watching, everybody that's vaccinated, you can see what he's putting all of us into a category. I'm not saying it's about the science. I'm not saying I trust the government. I'm not saying that. But me, I had to make money for my family, for my work.
Type of one if you
I
had the
had
same
to be
situation,
vaccinated,
you had
and
to
that's
take
why
it.
I did
Type
get
of one,
vaccinated.
wanted.
And that doesn't discredit anything I've said.
SNEAKO, can I respond?
You can go ahead, yeah.
My friend, I have talked to many people who had families and they quit being police officers and they quit being and being in the fire department. I know people who quit the NFL, who gave up $1 million contracts, because let me tell you something, having to fly somewhere is not an excuse. You jeopardized your health so you could earn a piece of paper. My friend, there are other ways out. If you believed in God the way you say you believe in God, you would have said no to the vaccine, and you would have known that God would have found a plan for you and your family. But see, you're exposed as a fraud because you didn't have that faith in God. So you went like a sheep and you got vaccinated. Congratulations, sir. Your career just ended.
You know, if I had a penny for everybody who thought the end of a career of mine, I'd be much richer than I am right now. First thing, I do believe in God. And God didn't tell me you can't be vaccinated. If it was in the Qur'an, don't be vaccinated, I'd never get vaccinated. And if you think I put my health at risk, alhamdulillah, by the will of Allah, I'm perfectly healthy. And millions of people watching right now are also vaccinated and they're perfectly healthy. And just like I said,
Not
I don't
LeBron
necessarily,
James' son.
and then, again, you're being interrupted now, right? Now, again, people are watching, alhamdulillah, they're healthy, they're vaccinated. You know, for me, I got vaccinated because I needed it for the job that I have. It's not that I don't think God can provide for me, but I believe that God put a responsibility upon me as a man, even if I have to risk my health, to go out there and earn money for my family so they can have food on their table. I'm not making millions. I'm not here to try to get rich. I'm here to make sure that my family eats. And for that, if I had to get vaccinated, even if it put my health at risk, I'd put my life at risk to feed my family. That's a man.
Okay, I think.
Secondly,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You vaccinated?
No, I'm not vaccinated, but I think we can move on from this topic. We understand.
Yeah, you took an L there, boss.
I think it's not going to move forward.
I think you took an L, and in your mind, you're trying to make up for the fact that your fraud's exposed. Just because SNEAKO is not vaccinated and I am, doesn't mean
you lied and you took the vaccine, sir. There's going to be other preachers who are going to replace you now.
Look, if I die today,
you don't believe in God, because if you did, you would have not taken the vaccine and you would have trusted in God that He would have provided for you and your family. You're a fraud, sir.
Okay, we're getting
Allah does not forbid us from taking vaccines or medicine.
Go ahead, move it on, SNEAKO.
That's not a Muslim concept, buddy.
Okay. So now I want to move to the topic of prayer. So Gary, you're saying that prayer is submission and it's feminine. I would like to hear your take on this and shift the conversation to prayer, because we started off saying that you believe in God, but your major. Okay.
Let me say this: I believe in God. I believe God is almighty. I believe that I am nothing compared to God. So let's establish that right now. Number two, I do not drink, except I'll make a exception when Joe Biden dies. May Allah forgive me. And I do not eat pork. And I use my clout and my influence to tell my followers not to do the same. So I am following God's law. The thing is, I think it's more important to follow God's law than to actually submit. Because you have to understand, we have free will. And I don't need the Qur'an to tell me not to cheat on my wife. I don't need a Bible to tell me not to steal, because I know that myself. I'm going to tell you who does need that. The low IQ. The low IQ needs something to fear. And that is why religion was established in the age of Pisces under Constantine, who was a Pisces, who basically took over Christianity through the Roman Empire. Now, I'm not saying anything about Islam. I'm not saying anything about Christianity. All I'm saying is this: when it comes down to it, people who are religious, they fear something, and that's what keeps them in line. A lot of people need something to fear, and I think people have seen that, because now with the LGBT, when people fear nothing, you see what happens. I understand that, but here's what I'm trying to say. I'm not stupid like the woke people. I don't need to be feared into doing the right thing. Now, if most people in society do, Go ahead and spread religion, spread the gospel, do whatever you need to. But I will just know this. I will teach my kids. I will teach my family. I will do whatever I can to influence people to follow God's law. Be a good person. Try to make the world a better place than you came into it. Those type of things I will push. But that does not mean I need to get on all my fours and submit and give away my power and my willpower to a God. I don't need to do that, sir.
Okay, Shaykh Uthman, maybe about 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
Okay, first and foremost, you did say you follow the law. How do you know the law?
Because have moral codes. I know not to kill.
Where'd you get that moral code from? Like not eating pork. Where did you get that from?
I'm born in the year of the snake, January 1978, and my enemy sign is the pig. So based off that information there, I will not eat pork because astrology told me so. How about that? Astrology agrees with your Quran.
I heard your answer. Now, you said you tell all your followers not to eat pork,
Correct.
but not all of them are born the same year. So why should they not eat pork?
Because pork is very, very close to human beings and chromosomes, and they should not eat that filthy animal.
You see, SNEAKO, how he switched it up?
First I'm not switching anything up. I'm telling you why I don't do it.
I got you.
I'm telling you
so
why I don't do it.
Do you? Okay, again, you tell your followers not to eat pork.
Yes,
they're
but
not
not
born the same year as you.
I don't have to tell them for the same reason I do. I told you
again,
why
you're speaking over me now. If I ask you a question, that's different. You're speaking over me because you're calm. I see it. I understand it. Relax. Take a deep breath. Relax. We've ended more careers than this. Relax. Now, when you said you don't drink alcohol, you don't eat pork, you live by God's law. God's law is in the scriptures, right? You actually follow the scriptures when you follow God's law. Okay. And then you're like, I don't need the scriptures, which makes absolutely no sense. You said that you don't eat pork because the year you were born, but then it contradicted you because you tell other people not to eat pork. And then you said it's very close to humans. Well, there are animals that are closer to humans. Is that the criterion you use for what to eat and what not to eat and what to tell people? Why do you not drink alcohol?
Can I answer now? Is that or is that rude?
Question.
Okay, very simple. You asked why I don't do it. I told you why I don't do it. Then you asked me about my followers. I told you why I told them they shouldn't do it. Two different things, two different subjects, my friend. Apples and oranges. I don't do it for a simple reason. Other people should. Now, it's very easy for me to say that I believe when people drink, they can be possessed by jinn because the word spirit has the word spirit. You know that back to the English language, which you said was a joke? The word spirit has the word spirit. So I believe when people drink, they can be possessed. I believe in that, but I don't need your Quran to do that. I did that based off numerology and astrology.
How did you know the word jinn? How did you know the word jinn?
Internet.
Where did the internet get the word jinn from?
I'm sure it came from the Holy Book.
Oh, so you did need the Quran. If it wasn't
I didn't read the Quran.
You wouldn't even know. No. SNEAKO, come on, man. This is stupidity now. If I go online, hold on, let me finish now. If I go online and I Google a verse in the Bible, or I get a concept from the Bible, and then I'm like, I don't need the Bible, I got it off Google, that's just stupidity. If it wasn't for the Quran, you wouldn't know what a jinn was. The word jinn wouldn't be known to you. The word jinn is an Arabic word in the Quran. The internet wouldn't have known. So you need the Quran. You got that concept from the Quran, and then you deny the Quran, you're a hypocrite.
So if I Google the word Jesus, that means I'm a Christian? What are you, out your mind?
I'll let you finish. No.
Are you serious? Done? So if I Google a word, that means all of a sudden I'm religious? Brother, you can Google the word haram. That doesn't mean you're studying the Quran. There's certain words that are on the internet, bro. That doesn't mean I'm reading the Quran.
Are you done? If you Google the word Jesus and you believe that there is a man named Isa ibn Maryam or Jesus, then you do believe that there are scriptures because that's where he's mentioned. If you mention the word haram, then you wouldn't know what the word haram is. The word jinn is not a common English or Arabic term. It comes from the Quran. If you didn't have the Quran, you wouldn't have never known the concept of jinn. So if you believe in jinn and you believe drinking alcohol causes jinn, then you got that concept from the Quran, the concept of jinn. You can deny it, but the fact is that if it wasn't for the Quran, Where else would you find any source on the internet that's not based on the Quran or Hadith that tells you about jinn? Where?
It's very simple. I learned the word haram from Andrew Tate. He made that word
And
famous.
where did he get it from?
He made that word famous. I didn't wrote anything from your
You're
Quran.
such a
Okay? He made
such a
that word
childish
famous.
person.
I learned that word
SNEAKO,
from him. He
listen.
might have got it from the Quran, but that was
Thank
not
you.
my source. I do
But
not
that's
need
where
to
it
read the
came
Quran
from.
to get that
But
word.
that's where
You're
it
basically
came
trying
from.
to. Now
Andrew
he's interrupting
Tate
me, Snake.
got the
You see
word
how this works?
haram.
He's trying to say no,
I'm going to
no, my
listen to
friend.
you. Go ahead.
No, my friend. People can know what jinn are without reading the Quran. People can know what a devil or a demon is without reading the Bible. You're making a fool of yourself.
Okay, Shaykh, I think you can respond.
Okay. Look, Andrew Tate may have used the word haram, but if you think he's the one that made it famous, you've never been outside the US. If you go out, the world knows the word haram. The word jinn, now SNEAKO, I'm going to ask you because he's just trying to defend himself here. The word jinn is in the Quran and it's in Hadith. Can you tell me any scripture or anywhere the word jinn is mentioned before or that doesn't go back to the Quran and Hadith? SNEAKO.
No, I cannot.
So that means that we as humanity would not have known about jinn, the creation of jinn, which he used the exact word, without the Quran and Hadith. Yes, now on the internet, you can Google it, there are articles, there are videos, but those all go back in taking their knowledge from the Quran. So if you're saying you don't tell people to drink alcohol because jinn might get in them, that jinn can possess them, then you indirectly through the internet are taking knowledge that goes back to the Quran. This is why I, as a Muslim, believe that we should go directly to those scriptures. We, as you agreed earlier, God is almighty and all-knowing and all-powerful, and we are nothing. Then as nothings, we should know what our Creator wants from us. This is not being weak, this is being strong, where you step on your own desires. You don't make up your own morality. You don't make up your own right and wrong based on whatever you think. You say, okay, my Creator knows better than me because he's more knowledgeable than me. He's more powerful than me. He created me. So let me read his words. And as you agreed earlier, the Quran is the word of Allah, unchanged, untampered. So everybody watching, go back and read the Quran and see what your Creator wants from you. Don't think you're going to make up your own right and wrong because everybody will have their own morality. I would agree with you that LGBTQXYZ is wrong, but there are many people that would disagree with us. So how would we know the criterion of right and wrong? We go back to the Creator, the designer. And that Creator tells us to submit ourselves to him because he is the greatest and live by his laws as you claim that you do. Then that is submitting. When you live by the laws of God, this is you're submitting to the Creator, and that makes you stronger. And there are studies that are published, you can check, where prayer, these are clinical trials that are in controlled environment that have shown actually helps healing, actually helps a person be stronger. So this is something that doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you. When I pray, that's what gives me strength. When I go out to the street and there are people yelling and screaming and all that, where do I get my strength? I turn to my Creator and I pray. And all of us are in need of that. Someday you're going to be in a weakness. Someday you're going to be sick. Someday you're going to be on a plane. It's going to shake. And you're going to be praying to God. Oh God, oh God, oh God. You are. You nod your head now. You nod your head now. I was on a plane with an atheist and he was arguing the same thing. And when it started shaking, when the plane started shaking, he was like, oh God. And I was like, who are you calling out to? And he was like, not now, not now. Because at that time, there's no atheists, right?
Okay.
Right now, sitting in your little comfortable room, you're saying whatever. But I tell you, bro, one day you're going to be in need of God's mercy and God's help. And you're going to pray that day. And you're going to go back on your words. And everybody who has a sane mind knows that the Creator is more powerful than us. And that Creator knows better than us. And that Creator sent us do's and don'ts. And when we don't drink alcohol, it's not because we think jinn are going to get in us. It's because our Creator knows that the harm of it outweighs the good of it and tells us that in the scripture. When we don't eat pork, it's not because it's close to humans, because there are other animals that are closer to humans. We don't eat it not because what year you were born and what year you weren't. We don't eat pork because Allah made it haram in the time of Moses, and again reaffirmed by Jesus, who affirmed the Old Testament and its laws, and in the Quran itself. When we want to say, is it okay for me to fornicate or not? Is it okay for me to kill or not, or steal or not, or abortion or not? Instead of just making up our own moralities, we go back to the divine message of our Creator. And I believe that makes a whole lot of more sense.
Okay, Gary, I'll give you 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes uninterrupted.
Let's start by dissecting everything you said. Number one, I don't need God's help or a Bible or a Qur'an to know that holding your ankles and taking from the back is wrong. I don't need a Bible or a Qur'an to tell me that molesting kids is wrong. I don't need any of that, my friend. You might. People listening to this might, but don't box me in with you, my friend. What you need is not what I need or what other people need. You look at the world through your eyes. Other people have different sets. You have to adjust your thinking for everyone, not just what you see. Now, let's start with that. Number two, when it comes down to submitting to God, I'm going to make this abundantly clear. Just because I say spirit does not mean I'm a Christian. Just because I use the word jinn does not mean I'm a Muslim. Just because I use the word haram does not mean I am. I agree with Islam because Christianity right now is weak. It's by default. You understand me? It is by default. I'm a Jewish man, but I'm no Zionist. I hope you understand what the difference is, my friend. Okay? But I'm going to make this abundantly clear. When it comes down to it, all of that stuff is nonsense. People are low IQ, and the low IQ people need something to believe in. The people who have a higher intelligence, they will seek greater knowledge. At the end of the day, I want people to understand something. Bruh. God is not going to answer your prayers. God put us on this planet, and it's our job to do whatever we need to ourselves. He does not interfere. The Lord does not interfere at all. He gave you life. He gave you a brain, and he's going to tell you to go out there and do the best you can with it. Set the best examples you can for your kids. For some people, that means be religious. For other people, it does not. You don't need a Bible to tell you not to murder people. You don't need a Quran to tell you to basically not steal or cheat on your wife. You don't need those things if you have a higher enough intelligence. Now, when it comes down to me, I basically want to look deeper than most people. A lot of people want to do surface level stuff, millions of preachers, millions of priests, a lot of people out there, some vaccinated, some not. But when it comes down to it, you have to understand that the search of knowledge is not going to be following the crowd. If billions of people are following something, that's most likely not it. People have to understand that the people on top stay on top because they have knowledge of the occult. They have hidden knowledge. They understand why certain things happen when they do. And at the end of the day, my man over there said that he's been invited to Saudi Arabia and Dubai by a lot of prominent people. My friend, I'm setting dates, wedding dates, 3rd, 4th, for people in this house of Saud. Okay, my friend? People in the very top of this game believe in numerology and astrology. And I'm going to leave with this. About 500 years ago, astrologers and numerologists said whenever it was a full moon, it pulled on the tides. They said people became crazy. They said they were lunatics. Science only caught up 50, 60 years ago when it figured out that human body. Hold on, don't interrupt me. Science only caught up about 70, 80 years ago when it figured out that the moon not only pulls on the tides, but it pulls on the human body as well. The astrologers and numerologists were 500 to 1,000 years ahead of all the scientists. Just because it doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean it's not real. This is a virtual reality. This is a matrix, and numerology and astrology are the cheat codes. At the end of the day, you can listen to me, or you can listen to a preacher who lied and was vaccinated. Back to you, sir.
All right. You said 500 years ago to 1,000, right? Well, 1,400 years ago, before those, the Qur'an already explained that. Look at the tafsir of Surah Falaq, which talked about إِذَا غَاسَقٍ إِذَا وَقَبْ, the effect of the moon upon people and the darkness and the later part of the calendar. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam 1400 years ago, before the dates you just gave, already explained the effect of the moon on people. And when magic is done, you can look in Bukhari about the one that tried to do magic on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So those scriptures from God had that knowledge way before, right? Once again, you can I don't care who invites you, like trying to flex names doesn't mean anything to me, to be honest, right? When you talk about billions of people, if they believe something, then it's not true, and there's going to be some few billions of people believe 2 + 2 is 4. That doesn't mean it's not true. Billions of people believe there is a God. That doesn't mean it's not true. Billions of people are coming to Islam, alhamdulillah. Every day you see people becoming Muslim because it's the truth. And you yourself said, even though you said you're a Jew, I guess you mean by race, because if you're a Jew by faith, then what you said didn't make sense. Correct. You're not a Zionist? Great. You believe Islam is the only religion out there that's standing up? Great. I'm with you on that one. And that's why I invite you to be a Muslim and to study the Qur'an. And if you study the Qur'an, you will find that everything that you think you're getting through numbers, you would like the example that you give. And I tell those that are watching to go look up my tafsir when I did the tafsir of Surah Falaq. And I explained from the Qur'an those concepts of the moon and its effect on people and effects on water and everything like this, from the Qur'an and authentic hadith. From the Qur'an and authentic hadith, 1400, 1400 plus years ago, before the dates you gave, the Qur'an already explained it. The science of the Qur'an. How can the Qur'an, when it revealed to the Prophet, peace be upon him, that the moon and the sun, they're in an orbit, how could a man in a desert have known that if it wasn't for divine revelation? And if that you believe that this was divine revelation, how could the man have split a moon and brought it back together in a night? And you have eyewitnesses to this, not just from the Arabian Peninsula, but around the world. And I've got a video that explains that. If you believe that, then that's what a Muslim is. Then you should submit to your creator, because your creator is more knowledgeable than you, more powerful than you. Those elite, those Illuminati, those Masons are nothing compared to the power of Allah. They wanted to stop Islam so many times. They wanted to exterminate Islam. They wanted to commit genocide against Muslims so many times. Go look at history, look at Badr, look at Hunayn, look at Tabuk, stuff that you don't know nothing about. You need to go read. And when you will find that Allah gave victory, angels would come and fight alongside Muslims. And this is something you can find with eyewitness accounts, right? That victory came from the Creator. And when you submit to the Creator, it strengthens you. When you pray to the Creator, it strengthens you. Prayer heals. This is something that's been proven scientifically. And there's studies that are published out there, right? So you don't have to listen to me. Again, it's not about me. You were like, you could listen to me or this preacher. No, not me. But you have to listen to your Creator, the one that created you, the one that inspired Abraham, and that's not a fairy tale. And you're the one who inspired Moses, and that's not a fairy tale. And the one who inspired Jesus, and that's not a fairy tale. And the one who inspired Muhammad, and that's not a fairy tale. Peace and blessings be upon all of the prophets. That Creator that created you, the one that you will return to. When you get sick, the one that cures you. It's not medicine. It's the one that cures you. Allah, that Creator, you need to submit to. You need to say, my Creator, I got shortcomings, but you know better than me. You know, when we talk about rights and wrongs, you can have your own ideas and say, I don't need a scripture. But if you talk to somebody else who does believe in the LGBTQXYZ lifestyle, and they believe it's right, or believes that it's okay to steal, they're a capitalist, big fish eats little fish kind of mindset, then when you go and talk to them, how are you going to